Bam, we're live. Sorry I'm late.
Good. I actually got to finish my breakfast real quick.
Shit, 2 minutes late. Son of a bitch.
Slacking.
Good morning, Heidi. Good morning, Joey. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Tomas. Good morning,
Tomas.
Alex. Any discount codes for Paper Street Coffee? Good morning, Rob Miller. God, there's a lot of Rob Millers. I don't know if there's a discount code for Paper Street Coffee. That's a good question. The guest yesterday, Moses Bernard, offered a discount code. I think he said it at the end of the show. It was kind of funny. I realized he said it when we got off. Hi, Matt. He said, for your listeners, we can use a discount code 7. You mean Sevan?
That's awesome.
Deeply offended.
Oh, he didn't mean it as a joke?
No.
Would have been better if he mentioned it as a joke. I'll get the.
You never know, though. I don't want to make any presuppositions. Maybe it was $7 off. Maybe it meant it was just good until April 7th. I don't know, but I if I was a betting man, I would say that it was just a mispronunciation of my brain. Which brings me to my first topic today. It's really I researched the guests on Instagram, and I always get to their June 2nd post on 2020. That was when that dude was high on fentanyl. That was the high on fentanyl, high on meth, drunk guy who put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. I can't wait for all of you who don't realize the implications of that till you have a wife at home who's pregnant. And then that passes through your brain, the thought of someone putting a gun to the lady's stomach who's holding your baby. It's going to.
That's crazy.
You want to see how fucked up it is. Take a fake gun. Take it, go to a gumball machine and put in a quarter and get a little cap gun or something. And then take it and point it at your pregnant wife's stomach. And let me just tell you how that feels. You will throw up. You will throw up. Anyway, on that day, there was some guy, and then the police intersected him, and the guy was screaming in the back of the car, I can't breathe, because he had swallowed all of the drugs that they had caught him for. They'd pulled this guy over. He was just high as fuck. Giant dude, 6'5", 280 pounds. He was high as fuck on all the drugs he was on, and then he swallowed all his drugs. And it was the third time he had done that. Third time in a row, the cops had pulled him over that he had done that. And in the previous time when this guy was in the hospital, the doctors had told him, hey, you better stop doing that. You're going to go into cardiac arrest and have a heart attack and die. So anyway, this guy's in the back, and every time the cop, in the previous 2 arrests also, as the cops are arresting him, he yells, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. But on this particular day, he also yells that, and he's in the back of the car yelling, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. So what do the cops do? I don't know why they did this. They take him out of the back of the car, and they put him on the ground. And while he's on the ground, he's banging his head on the ground and flopping around and going crazy. And while he's doing that, one of the police officers puts his knee on the guy's neck, and the guy dies. Autopsy report says he was high on fentanyl, meth, alcohol, and that I think it said that he died of a heart attack. You can go. It's all out.
Was that the official cause of death? Was heart attack?
Well, no, the official cause, he had COVID. The official cause is he died of COVID.
Oh my God. I remember that.
I don't think they actually wrote that on a certificate, but they were writing that on everyone else's. I just met a guy yesterday who was telling me about how what was the story? It was crazy. A relative of theirs died in a car accident or something. They had COVID, and they put COVID death on the certificate. It's just bad shit, crazy. But
did they get paid more for that? Didn't the hospitals get paid more?
Yeah, I think some hospitals. I know some hospitals for sure did. I don't know if that was across the board.
Yeah, I think there was incentives for how many were in the ICU, how many were on ventilators, how many COVID positive patients you had, and how many COVID deaths went through the hospital. Because when they closed the hospitals off to elective surgery, which is their moneymaker, their profit, hospitals still had to get funded somehow.
So they got a little bonus for saying someone died of COVID.
I don't know. The new book I'm reading has a pretty good a story about how they did that with lowering crime rates and the lieutenants that were responsible in their different districts. And excuse me if it's not lieutenant, I'm not too familiar with the hierarchy, but they started fudging the numbers and lowering the different crimes or making them lesser than they actually were. So that way their numbers looked good and they were still able to get promoted and everything else. So unintended consequences there.
So this guy dies with this guy's knee on his neck, and it's videotaped, and I'm oversimplifying it just slightly, but basically the whole world goes to shit. Well, our world, the United States, and we have the biggest riots and the most damage ever done in the in the country's history.
Peaceful protest.
Yeah, in the country's history. Oh, it's so sad what's happening to the January 6th people. It's so sad. It's so sad. Man, oh man. So I go to these. So when I have guests on, I see their posts in regards to that, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy. It makes me hate the guests and not want to have them on the show when I see their spin, their take on it. When I was 16 years old, I was driving my dad's Nissan Maxima 60 miles an hour through the city of Albany. Albany is a very white, rich town, surrounded by like two of the murder capitals in the United States, a town called Richmond, California, another town called Oakland, California. And I was doing 16 to 25, and cops pulled me over. Yeah, cops pulled me over, and they arrested me. They handcuffed me, and they took me to jail. It had nothing to do with my skin color, the way they treated me. I don't think so. I never went there in my head. I understand maybe how if you did go there in your head, if when you were 6 years old, your mom pulled you aside and told you that the world's going to hate you because of your skin color. I could see how then you force everything through that lens. I could see that. But then it's up to you to stop thinking like that. There's no benefit in thinking like that. I was pulled over in Isla Vista, California one evening. I was living in my truck at the time. I was pulled over on the 6600 and 6700 block of Sueño, and I didn't have registration tag on my car. Or no, I did. It was expired. And the police officer, and I had my dog in the back of my truck, and the police officer told me to get out of the car, and he actually asked me, "Had you been drinking tonight?" And I said, "Yes, I had one beer or something." They gave me all the tests. I passed all the tests, and then they proceeded to make me leave my car there, and they arrested me, and I spent the night in jail for not having a car with update registration. I also do not believe that happened for my skin. That was that was maybe the whitest place on the planet outside of where CrossFit HQ in Boulder. I mean, it was fucking white. I was playing Frisbee in a park one time, and a guy went running through there, and our dogs kind of got into like a little bit of a scuffle, and he started just talking shit to me and yelling at me, and I was like, dude, just beat it. And it was kind of like, it was my hometown. I played Frisbee in this park every single day, and this was like some guy who was visiting clearly the town of Isla Vista. Anyway, he told me he was going to make that day the worst day of my life, and like 30 minutes later, the cops roll into the park, and the cops say to me, "Hey, we got a report that your dog's off a leash." And one of the girls who was in my harem at the time had my dog, and she was on a leash, and she was sitting down with it. And I said, "No, my dog's over there with a leash on him." He's like, "Yeah, but we got a report that your dog was off leash." And I said, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but my dog's on a leash right now. So we go back and forth, and he ends up giving me a ticket. And I knew all the cops in the town. I knew of them. We knew of each other. I was the fucking barefoot wannabe Jesus dude walking around the town. And so he gives me a ticket, and I pay the ticket. And a few months later, I am sitting at a place called Javon's in Isla Vista, eating a sandwich outside on like a picnic bench they had outside. I was eating a turkey, bacon, and avocado. Actually, that's not true. I wasn't eating it. I had ordered it, and I was sitting down. And these cops ride by on bicycles, and I'm just staring at them. I'm like 20 some odd years old, and they're going by, and I'm there with my long hair and barefoot, just being cool as shit. And they come over, and the guy says, "What are you staring at?" And I said, "I'm staring at you." And he goes, "Why are you staring at me?" And I go, "It's what 20-year-old guys do. They stare at cops. It's just what we do, especially cute cops. I didn't say that. And he says, okay, can I see your driver's license? And I give him my driver's license, and he runs my name, and he says, you have a warrant out for your arrest. And I said, really? What for? And he said, you have a no-show in court. And I said, that's weird. And he goes, for a dog off a leash ticket. I go, oh, I paid that. And I happen to have the receipt in my wallet. So I pull the receipt out, and I show him the receipt for the dog off the leash ticket. And he says, doesn't matter. You didn't show up in court. And I said, okay, I'll do that this weekend. He goes, no, you won't. Stand up. And he handcuffs me and he arrests me. And I go to jail. I spend the night in jail. Actually, that time, I don't know if I spent the night.
I just booked you in.
Yeah, I think they booked me in, and somehow I got out right away. And actually, how that ended up happening is I had to pay some crazy fine, but then I went to court, and I was homeless at the time, but I lied to the judge and told him that money was to pay my rent. I mean, it's kind of a lie. And the judge gave the money back to me, which was cool as shit. I could go on and on. I've been pulled over hundreds of times. I could tell you amazing, super nice cop stories too. Just crazy ones. Like me doing donuts in the middle of an intersection at 3 a.m, with 4 lanes in each direction. There's no cars. It's a rainy day. And the cop pulls me over, and I start pretending that I start crying, and I tell him that I just caught my best friend and my girlfriend fucking, and he lets me go. And it was a lie, but
one of my friends used that too one time.
It was so cool, the cop. It was so cool. And of course, I'd been a complete jackass. I was probably drunk. What I'm saying is the point of this is I've heard stories from Black people. They tell you 40 stories, and none of them are racist, but they claim every single one is racist. And I'm sorry to pick on Black people, but and I really mean that when I say I'm sorry to do that. But like you have to take responsibility. You have to take. I suspect that fat people are more discriminated against than Black people, but by a margin of 10,000 to 1. I would also say.
That's like, how are we defining discriminated against?
I mean, it's just.
What do you mean by that? Like,
to be honest with you, I don't even know, because the only thing I ever do to discriminate against Black people is and it's kind of more recent, is now that I notice that they're there, because like I'm supposed to notice that they're there. Like before, it used to just be people to me, right? Like maybe like I would notice like if you were like Aborigine or like albino, or like when I was in Africa, I never saw Black people, but I would see some albinos. It's kind of actually amazing how many albinos there are in Africa. Like I can't ever remember going there and not seeing one. But it's just this it benefits no one to use that as a crutch. And when I see that, like if you're pissed off that George Floyd died, okay, I'm okay with that. But if you're pissed off that George Floyd died because he's Black, or then if you start telling stories about how cops have mistreated you, I've never seen one of those where anyone of color was mistreated worsely than I was. Just start looking at the numbers. 350 million interactions the police have, or something crazy like that, with the public, and 12 unarmed Black men and 24 unarmed white men were killed. It's like, dude, look at the alternative. I don't know if those of you who live in big cities or not, but the alternative is it's insane what's going on.
You ever been to Bellevue, Washington?
I have. That's like a suburb of Seattle, right? Or one of the neighborhoods in Seattle.
Yeah.
I think there was a CrossFit gym there, a fancy CrossFit gym there, that went out of business because they let the homeless take over. A really fancy one.
With the whiskey bar?
I've been there. I forget. I can't. Why? What's up? I got it all mixed up.
Well, I was just thinking about what you were saying as far as like discrimination, and having grown up with a very diverse group of friends, I would say like the more rich, affluent white neighborhoods you go into, if you are somebody who's like Black or Mexican, the chances of you getting pulled over is significantly higher. And usually because those neighbors are like looking out the windows or seeing it, or seeing a car that doesn't belong or a person that doesn't belong, and then they call the cops specifically on them reporting a suspicious vehicle. And I was making the correlation to Bellevue, Washington, because if you go to this one part in it where Bill Gates has this like really big like mega estate, as you enter into it, you go through these like posts that have all these crazy security cameras every single way, because they have their own private police. So there's like Bellevue police, but then there's like this neighborhood security, and that you'll get pulled over for any reason at all. And it's funny because you see the different
Any
levels
reason at all.
I mean, literally any reason at all. Like the light above your license plate isn't out, or they're just conducting just an investigation stop or something like that. But it's funny because it's different levels of affluency. So like if you're mega rich and somebody's probably driving you, you're probably not going to get pulled over. But if you have like a Honda like mine and you go into there, they're going to stop you. They're going to question you. And from the moment you drive into that neighborhood, you're under surveillance. And so I wonder if people are, conflating that with being specifically discriminated against, because it's
There's
two
always
separate issues,
there's
right?
it's always going to be there. Like you really just have to mind you have to worry about yourself. On some level, it's always going to be there, but it has nothing to do with your skin color. Like as some what do you know? You're just a white guy. As some sort of broad stroke, it's never going to be there. I'll tell you what will be there is if you're a young man, it will be there more than if you're black.
Yeah. I got pulled over a lot in Livermore.
Yeah, if you're a young man, it's definitely. I mean, you're like, you could keep your shit tight.
Don't let your car smell like weed.
Keep your shit tight. Yeah,
it's getting searched.
I don't know if that matters anymore. That you're so 2002. Jesus, weed. Like they give a fuck. The guy takes a hit off your joint when he pulls you over now.
The amount of times I got my car searched for nothing coming of it has been a lot in the past. Not in the recent. In the past.
When I was 16, I lived in a neighborhood where I was the only white person besides my dad and my stepmom and the heroin dealer, the Chinese guy. And I got pulled over all the time. All the time. Once a week I got pulled over.
I thought you were buying drugs, right?
They actually that's funny you say that. A lot of times they did think that. Yeah.
Yeah, why else would you be in that neighborhood?
They would say where's the crack? Yeah, and that's exactly Susie, you good.
Yeah.
Why are you in this neighborhood? I live right there. No, you don't. Yeah, I do.
Where are you going? Who do you know here? Where'd you come from?
Yeah.
And then
it's funny, all the black dudes I hung out with, there were only black dudes there. The dude, like when we would roll up on other dudes, they assumed that they had a word for me. I don't know if it was John, but they thought they were all prison dudes, all like spent time in Folsom or San Quentin. And they thought that I like just sucked the dicks off the older dudes. I want to clarify, I did not, but I also want to clarify I didn't mind. Like if they thought that, I didn't give a shit.
Well, I will
whatever it took to get access.
I will say it just has to maybe do with just like where you are in the situation, right? Because one time in my later adventures, we were in Richmond, and the guys that I used to
Richmond by my house in Berkeley, Richmond, California.
Yeah, like on Realm Street, like in the
heart. What are you doing there?
Aerosol Arts Mediums.
Right. BART tracks?
No. This was a even better. It was a railroad tracks that went down underneath this thing, and it was back behind this liquor store and stuff, right? And so the guys that I used to hang out with were all black or Mexican guys. They were usually from Oakland and stuff like that. And they used to make the joke that depending on where we would drive would depend on who was driving. Like depending on where we were going was who was driving. So if we went to like Concord area, like over there, they'd be like, okay, Susie, you're driving. And then if we were going to Oakland or Richmond, I'd be like, okay, one of you guys are driving, right? And my car broke down one time in Richmond. And I will say,
my car's broke down a couple times in Oakland. Man, it's fucked.
Yeah. And being the only white guy in that situation, I was very thankful and happy for my friends that were with me, because you stick out like friends. You stick out like a sore thumb.
You know, it's funny if your car broke down in San Francisco, let's say on Polk or something, you don't need any gay friends.
No.
You're good. You good.
Have a breakdown on Realm Street in Richmond and
oh man,
hang out there for a while. And I'm young and I had long hair. I just like I was the only dude in shorts with Vans and no socks on, with like a skateboard t-shirt on and long hair. All my other friends were all tatted up their necks and everything else, you know. They were like, what are you doing here?
I bought these books to show off to Zoe that I bought them, and I didn't even show them off.
Dude, you're blurry again.
I am blurry?
Maybe it's just me.
Anyway, that kind of bummed me out.
That I said you're blurry, or that you didn't show the books?
That I didn't show these books. Like I kind of like want to show off to the guests. Like, look, I supported your shit. I bought your shit.
You did tell her though.
I did?
Yeah. You were like, I have both your books, or all your books, or something. I think you said. Hey, you got that other one Neil recommended. I could see it there.
This? Oh, who recommended this? Neil Maddox?
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably will see if they have the audiobook. I don't really read that much, but I'm an audiobook nut.
Wait, so what was our conclusion on your piece there as far as discrimination?
99% of the time you're lying. You made it up, and it's between your, and I'm being super generous. You're lying, and you made it up between your ears, and then the other 1% is fuck off. Deal with it. I just keep thinking I keep using Kayla Harrison as the example. Like you're worried about being pulled over by a fucking cop in somewhere and him calling you hey boy, when this fucking chick was fucking molested from the age of 8 to 16 by her judo instructor 5 out of 7 days a week for fucking 8 years, to a point where she had disassociation and had to leave her fucking body. And then she fucking wins she's the first American to win the gold in judo, and she does it twice. And now she's the most sought after fighter in the history of the sport. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Most sought after female fighter in the history of the sport. Like, stop. I don't want to hear it. We're so beyond that. We're so beyond that. And maybe it's just that I want to say maybe it's just the media I consume, but these are like real people who come on my show, and they're such cool people. But when I go back to their post, they're finger pointing, non-accountable, non-personal responsible. They're bad humans.
There's a lot of social pressure on that, though. Like, I don't necessarily want to make excuses like for them.
You are.
But
I hear you. You're right. There was.
There was a lot of judgment on that. Like, whether you did that or whether you like didn't,
Yeah, people were saying you have to make a statement. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, remember, silence was violence.
Oh, it's so nuts.
And I just kept thinking, like, no, silence is just silence. Violence is violence. There's, I don't know. But there was a lot of social pressure then.
I'm trying to think if I ever had a guest on because of their ethnicity or race, or I guess there's this guy I'm courting over in the Ukraine, and I want to have him on because he's from the Ukraine, because there's people fighting in their country. My mom sent me a text, and she said, and my mom's like this. She said, hey, will you donate some money? And it's like some link to like help people in the Ukraine, right? And at the same time, a lot of Armenian people are sending me DMs being like, hey, you know what the Ukraine's been doing for the last 2 years, right? And I'm like, no, what? And then they send me links. And the Ukrainian government has been sending weapons to the country that Armenia has been fighting with for the last couple of years. And this country is rich as shit. The name of the country is Azerbaijan, and they have oil. Armenia does not have oil. And Azerbaijan also has an ally right next door called Turkey. And Armenia is just down there all by itself. And for those of you who are religious people, to give you an idea, Armenia is the first Christian nation in the world. So basically, they accepted Christianity as their national religion before any country in the world did. It's basically where the Ark is and where like all those Bible stories are. And if there is an Ark. And Armenians are surrounded by Muslims. So Armenians are Christian, and they're surrounded by Muslims, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey. And so they're down there, and the Ukrainians have been fucking pumping money and weapons into Azerbaijan to attack the Armenians for the last couple of years. And when Azerbaijan won the most recent conflict or battle, they congratulated them. So and what the Armenians are telling me is like, look, they're saying that land the Armenians were on belonged to the Azerbaijanis, so the Ukrainians deserve it. Well, you could flip the script and be like, hey, this land the Ukrainians are on belongs to the Russians, and they deserve it. And so it's like, it's fascinating, because, there is that facet to me that knows, like, I'm not Sevan and I'm not Armenian.
Yeah, and whose land? Like, isn't that funny?
Yeah, but also it's like, I feel you, and it's easy to once again to say from inside the Three Playing Brothers empire to just be like, fuck it. Sevan, you see the story about Cain Velasquez situation? I did. There's only one thing that concerns me if it is not correct. Like but from the little bits that I'm getting is that dude molested his daughter.
Oh shit.
100 times. And man, this is a subject that I really feel I don't want to talk about, because I don't want to be accused of inciting violence. But
no violence.
If you fuck with kids, if you insist that someone's kids wear a mask, if you insist that someone's kids take a drug injection, if you touch someone's kids inappropriately, if you yell at someone's kids, you should expect for your life to end. I mean, not from me, but like if you fuck with someone's kids at all, you should expect to be killed. Like as just a, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying like healthy parents don't have tolerance for that at all. Zero. You have zero tolerance. You just have zero tolerance for it. Like horribly bad. You should just, I'm not saying it's going to, and most of the time it doesn't, but like if you were to, let's say you send your 10-year-old to school and they come home and someone's giving them the vaccine, you should expect to be killed. You do not do anything to anyone's kids. You
treat them like bears. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
stay the fuck away from everyone's kids.
When you
do not
see like
fuck with anyone's kids. Parents are capable, and I'm torn because we can't have vigilante violence, but
right.
You cannot mess with someone's kids. Walk the other way. Always walk the other way from someone else's kids.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed almost at how little parent. Yeah, well, there's memes going around now. Don't act like you care about the Ukraine. You didn't even stand up for your kids for the last 2 years. I just saw the saw the Pfizer study came out for kids taking the vaccine. Holy shit. It's scary.
I've still asked some people that are like very pro vaccine. Mm-hmm. And I said, so we all agree that COVID has virtually unaffected anybody under the age of 18.
And what do they say?
They say, yeah. And I said, so then how does it make sense to alter anything inside their bodies for protection against that?
Let me tell you this, though. It is affecting kids at the same rate as measles. So either COVID... oh, man. So what do they say?
Nothing really. The other interesting thing too was like when we went to we were at the college for like Grace's graduation, and we were sitting inside there with all the like PhDs of nutrition and health and everything else, and there was a smaller group that graduated with their masters, and so they're going through all these theses that they had up there, and they kind of like are just doing little brief overviews of all the work people did. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what's interesting is they like were scrutinized over those theses to make sure that, you know, everything was statistically sound and that it made sense and everything else. But then I looked around and I was like, but they're all like forcing us to have like masks on. So like if they were to take that same exact like thought process to the studies of the masks and like the statistical studies of the evidence that they're giving us about COVID cases and everything else, like none of it would hold up. Like all those same professors would completely like reject all of that.
Yeah.
But if I had my mask off at one point and they were like, you need to put that back on. And I was like, how are you just picking and choosing what we're thinking about here? Well, in one case, you're saying, oh no, this isn't statistically sound. You've left all this out of your study. This doesn't make sense in the way you presented this. These numbers are wrong. And then on this side, they're like, wear your mask. And you're like, well, why did we alter society without putting it up that same scrutiny, right? And then in the case of the Ukraine thing, a lot of people are saying Biden needs to help, Russia's invading, and I don't really know a ton on the situation, so this is an opinion here. This is just an observation. But like, didn't we also invade Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran? So like, under the false pretenses of weapons of mass destruction during the Bush administration, that turned out to be completely false. So it's just one of these things, right? Like people want to post the black squares and want social justice for the oppressed, but we buy iPhones. So like what?
Lots of them. We buy lots of them.
Yeah. And I mean, I like an iPhone, you know, but we also know that they're made by child labor in China. And
where is my iPhone?
And there was a good thing. I think actually you posted it. And it was like, if Apple's going to say that they're going to cut off Apple Pay and cut off products that they're being sold in Russia right now, like, would they do the same in China for Taiwan?
Oh yeah. That's a great one, isn't it? That's a
So
great one.
it's just
Uh,
weird when we just kind of go back and forth and like
Apple's a
choose it. It
joke.
just
Apple's a joke. Apple's a joke. Speaking of a joke, the CrossFit Games are a joke too. They made a Apple's a joke just because of their I guess you call it marketing, their ads. It's so pandering to just the worst of society. But the CrossFit Games put out a video the other day, and it's like it's from week 1 of the Open, and it's like the 10 it's like the 10 like highlights of the week, and like 3 of it goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and for 10 through 2, 3 of the people I think are like I think they're called handy abled or able-bodied or disabled, but I don't know what the fucking right word is. They're handicapped. They're like people in wheelchairs or like missing limbs and shit, right?
yeah.
But it's like so obvious it's forced in there. They're not like these great fucking clips or anything, right? It's so obvious. And then but 10 through 2, there's not a single black person. And then the final one, it's just all black people. And it's like it's just so unauthentic. What do I mean by that? It's so forced. Like you're judging people by the way they look and their color, and not the merit of their performance or the comedy of the piece or the validity of like what makes that interesting as part of building the community. It's just a joke. It's just so blatantly racist. And you could say to Sevan, you could say to me, "Hey Sevan, that's just you projecting onto that." You're right. It is. I'm a little damaged and obsessed with it. You're right. I own it. Damn it. No matter how much I tighten this thing, it never gets fully tight.
Maybe we should get you a new boomstick there. That one looks like.
Have you seen commercials today? Yeah, it's nuts. When I watch the UFC, yeah, the commercials are it's fascinating. I'm embarrassed for all of those people. I'm embarrassed for the people who are in them. I'm embarrassed for the companies. It's nuts. Oh, it was like summer here for a little while. We had like 2.5 weeks of summer, and now it's kind of went away. The nights were cold, but man, the days were hot. Oh, I had a question for you about boobs.
Okay.
Did I send you the notes for the show, Souza?
Yeah, I have them here.
Do you see this? There's a one. It's an Instagram, and it says, why do you need the tit grab?
Mm-hmm.
Could you pull that up?
Yeah.
This is just some random account that I don't know, came across my feed. The algorithm thinks I want to look at naked girls. It's so weird.
You know what's funny is the less time I spend on Instagram, the more of those will pop up in the explore page.
Yeah, I believe it. They're chumming the water.
Yeah.
Okay, scroll down a little bit. Thank you. Wait, what's her name? Thank you, Mads, for letting us use your account. Just keep scrolling. Oh, no, keep going. Oh, sorry. Right there. Stop. Up, back down a little bit. Right there. Go to that one right in the middle. Why when a woman shows her abs does she have to squeeze her boobs like that? Okay, now go out a second. And then go to the one next to it. She's doing it too. I don't think you really have to do that, do you?
I have a theory.
But the girls they do it, and it's funny. I mean, I like seeing it. There's something like
I'm not against it.
There's something like evocative. Is that a word? Evocative, like invokes. Provocative. Is there invocative too? There's something provocative about it. It like, you know, you're grabbing your tit. I guess it's like when Michael Jackson used to grab his whatever it was he grabbed. But it's just crazy because it's like it's a thing. You know what I mean? Like girls will be like.
I think there's two things. I think you said the first one, but I think the second one is it actually like stretches the skin more.
Oh, like over, like you're pulling some of the excess skin up, and then it makes your abs look like there's deeper crevasses in there, accentuates the shadows in between them. Okay,
you got a female perspective on that here.
Stretching the skin to tighten her abs. Okay, it's okay. She's moved them out of the way so you can that Heidi. That's funny you say that because I think that's like what they want you to think. Oh, I'm just moving them out of the way, but it's not. It's not.
Did you just randomly stumble on this one? And you got a lot of guns, huh?
I just saw that and I'm like, what is up with the tit move?
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit too.
Okay, so the thing is that we're gonna go with, if someone asks me, that the answer to that is to pull the skin tighter and to seduce males, because there's some like subtle "I'm touching myself" component.
I would say so. And I mean, we're pretty stupid. We fall for that every single time, right? So
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I love it. Yeah,
can't hate on
I
them
love
for
it.
it.
I love it.
We could keep track of it. She's got 9,000 followers, and at the end of this, she will have 10,200.
I had a friend fly. Did I talk about this already? I had a friend fly to San Diego on Southwest. Oh, but I guess the mask. Do you have to wear a mask on airplanes still?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that because they always say per federal mandate, right? Like as to why you have to do it. But is this, I think it's gone, right? I mean, you and I live in the spots where it's been gone for weeks, but you would never know it. So I don't really know. And also haven't paid attention to it in the last couple of years. So.
The flying part?
No, just the mask thing in general.
Oh, right.
Like you would still think that the mask mandate is happening here because everybody has masks. And I've talked to a couple of the parents at the gym, and they'll be outside playing different sports, right? In the youth sports. And they'll go to some of the kids and say, like, hey, little Johnny, like, you don't have to wear the mask anymore. And they like will not take it off. And they'll like freak out if you try to take them off. And you know how they used to have those commercials where it was like, play with your infant and talk to them, and it would just show this baby like alone in a crib, and you're just like, oh my god, right? Because like if a kid needs like a 10 out of attention, like a 1 through 10, and you give it a 1, it's going to be a sociopath. Like some shit's going to be fucked up, right? But what happens if mandates and other government responses just push all of them to a 7? What's the outcome that's going to happen? And we won't know for years, right? So they used to have commercials like, talk to your kids, play with them, let them see you smile. And then they're like, nah, screw all that. Just mask everybody up and we'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know how they test it, but basically the consensus is that there's 3 years of tarded kids now. That the average IQ of someone born into the pandemic is 20 points lower. I don't know how you test a kid's IQ at 1 or 2, but
maybe the way that it interacts with like facial expressions and communicates through that way, because you'd have to imagine that obviously
20 points is huge, by the way. Like if you're 100 and you are supposed to be 100 and now you're an 80, you're tarded.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they dropped it. We were like, a lot of the parents were fortunate because some of the young kids that were basically like, 0 to 2 through the pandemic, they would like bring them in and expose them just to large groups of people and stuff like that, because there wasn't any masks or anything at the gym, right? So when they would come in there, they would just see all the adults interacting, and they would have them outside and different things like that, which was pretty much the only like large group interaction that they were having through some of that time. Think about that shit.
Yeah, it's but by the way, I think it's okay to say tarded the way I'm saying it. I got into it with some chick in my DM. She was telling me not to say the word retarded anymore. And I got into a fight with her, and then I think she won. I think I backed down. I think she was like, you're doing it to be mean. And I was like, not really. I'm kind of doing it to be funny. And she's like, well, it's mean. And I'm like, well, I think that those people are clinically retarded. I think I was talking about Craig Ritchie. But anyway,
poor Craig Ritchie.
I know he's such a good dude too.
It just gets hammered here.
when I come across his posts, he's always so happy and nice and upbeat and positive, but it's still tarded. It's
well, which also tells you there's a certain level of like, that's like superficial, right? Like
maybe I don't know him.
I mean, some of the people that are just like always crazy positive, like some of them are genuine, I would say, but even those people, like there's this lady at the grocery store that's always like crazy upbeat. Like she's like, have a great day. Oh my gosh, how are you doing? Someone could be like, oh, fuck you. And she's like, okay, you have a good day. I hope it gets better. And then she would turn to the person next to be like, oh my gosh, I think they're having a bad day. And then even sometimes you come in and she's kind of like doing the thing and you're like, hey, how are you today? And she's like, oh, life just kind of got me down, but and we'll kind of like keep going. So if you don't have that ever, you kind of have to ask yourself like, okay, what's going on with this person? Because it ain't all sunshine and rainbows every single day.
What is the antidepressant usage in the United States? And then I'll come back to the word retarded.
Do you have it in front of you? Am I going to guess and you know?
No, I don't know. I started typing it in and I realized that my computer started doing that. I realized I don't know how to spell.
I would probably say somewhere around like like on prescription drugs for like mental, not, I don't want to say mental health issues, because then you're going to have like people who are clinically like schizophrenic and stuff like that, or like clinically depressed on a high level mixed in there, as opposed to people that just need to exercise.
How many? I wish I had Alexa in here. List of antidepressants. Oh, here, antidepressant usage. Okay, here it says in 2018, the daily 18.6% of the U.S. was on daily. Holy shit! Yeah, I mean, I've known people. I'm sure I've known a lot of people who are on antidepressants, but I've known people who that I knew for a fact they were, and
Mm-hmm.
it was nuts. It was nuts. It was
Is
their moods were. Yeah, they would be when they were positive. Man, they were so positive. It was like overwhelming. It was like chill out.
Yeah, this says that 66% of all adults in the United States are on some sort of prescription drug.
Anyway, the when I refer to these people who their IQ goes from 100 to 80, I think it's okay to call those people retarded. I think what she didn't like is that I think retarded is like a clinical diagnosis or some sort of reference to someone that's like just means like slow people, right? I've looked it up a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and that when I say it as an insult, I'm insulting the people who are actually retarded. And I kind of got her logic, so it kind of was like, all right, fine, I'll be
Yeah, but if
cool.
you're like, you're not intending to do that. Like, I think there's been very few
I know,
times.
but like I don't. As much as I think you can, I know it's not what you tend, but like as much as like I think like I don't use racial slurs, even though like I say them every day when I'm singing songs since I've been 6 years old and listening to rap music. But like I don't say them like out loud because even if I'm not intending to hurt, well, I say them out loud like I'm in my car, but like I don't say them like when I'm walking around the grocery store, even like if I want to, like just like because it's like the vernacular I use in my songs. But
Right.
like still don't use it because I don't want to like get beat up. I mean, offend people.
Get beat up. Isn't
I
that
don't use
funny?
racial slurs because I'm scared for my safety. No, because you don't. I don't like it's exactly what she's saying. Like I'm not saying it to be racist. I'm saying it because it's just like it's in all the songs I hear, and it's just like yo. But this isn't. This is. I am. She's right. I am saying it to be like offensive. Like if I call you Matt, you're being a fucking retard. Delay or hold back in terms of progress, development, or accomplishment. Yeah, I think that there's like people who are retarded, and then it's like the term when you called someone gay or like a faggot. Like basically what you're saying it in a negative way to someone, even though you're
Right.
not referencing their sexuality. But then there are people who really are gay, and then the two get blended together, and it's fucked up. And I get what she's saying. Like if I'm going to call someone retarded, it should really be people who are retarded. And my point is that I think that there's studies out there that say that kids who've been wearing masks for the last 3 years lost 20 points on their IQ, which puts a ton of people into the tard category.
I mean, it does, because it's literally delaying their development or progress.
So the study I saw yesterday on the Pfizer vaccine for kids, I want to say it was kids under the age of, it's in my story somewhere. It's kids under the age of 12. The study had two groups of 1,200. There was 1,200 kids in one group. It was the control group. That means they got nothing. And there were 1,200 kids who got the vaccine. This part really doesn't make sense to me. Of the 1,200 kids who didn't get the vaccine, who are in the control group, within 7 days of the study finishing, 16 of them got COVID. And in the group that did get the vaccine, none of them got COVID. What's really weird about that part of the study is that there's never been a claim that the vaccine stops you from getting COVID. And so I don't even know how there could be all of a sudden in the control group that didn't get the vaccine, there's 16 kids who got COVID. And in the group that did get the vaccine, none of them got COVID, which is just bizarre to me. But anyway, I'll proceed with the study. So in the study of those 16, none of them who got COVID, who were in the control group, who did not get the vaccine, none of them were hospitalized. None of them had any severe illness. The side effects from the kids who were in the group that did get the vaccine, although none of them got COVID, were crazy. 6 of them were hospitalized with very, very gnarly, severe side effects. You can read about them. Bad shit that would freak you out. Going back to hurting your kids again, shit that would freak you out if someone did to your kid. And then of course it's like 55% of the kids had headaches, 20% were nauseous. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. But the point being is that in the study, the control group, no one died, no one was hospitalized, no one was hurt. But in the group that did get the vaccine, no one died, but there were a lot of fucking injuries and sick people. So why get it? And I would even go on to say, and they don't say this. This is my this is my hypothesis, that those who did get it won't get it again. Meaning you're going to be more immune from the variants. You got it, you're done. Same thing with measles and chickenpox. I have tons of friends whose kids got the chickenpox vaccine and the kids still got chickenpox. Those of us who got chickenpox, we never get it a second time. Measles is the same way, by the way. Look at the last outbreak they had at Disneyland a couple years ago. Look how many kids were vaccinated who got the measles. But no one ever gets the measles twice unless you're vaccinated.
Have you looked into the argument of like why life expectancy rose so much over the last like whatever it is 70 years or more, and maybe even longer than that? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they claim, like, a lot of people said it was like advancements in medical or vaccine, but then there's also a strong claim that just societal hygiene became a lot better.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing with polio. Polio is a shit
like,
disease. Yes.
If the knobs got turned at the same time, it's hard to discern against like which one actually made the biggest impact.
Dude, polio was on a crazy steep decline. Crazy steep decline before the vaccine came out. Crazy. Yeah, totally. Hygiene's everything. I mean, there was a time when doctors, I forget, God, Greg used to talk about this. There was a time when doctors used to not wash their hands. And then when they started washing their hands, and it's like a 90%, like just immediate drop overnight in like infection rate amongst people. It was nuts.
I think that was found in childbirth. I forget the name of the doctor, but it was almost by an accident, and there were like something was happening to where most of the mothers were like surviving with this one doctor, and then they just realized, oh shit, he's just washing his hands between births, and then therefore the like life expectancy for mothers and kids went up significantly after they just started washing their hands.
Yeah, good thing. Wash your hands. I don't know if I'm not even worried about. I wash my hands a lot, but I'm not. I don't do it because I'm afraid of germs. I just like clean hands. I'm not afraid. I'm not. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't like sticky. I don't like to just my hands to feel dirty. But like I'm not. I know I've said this a million times, but like if you had COVID or pneumonia or laryngitis or strep or whatever, you can still come to my house and your kids can still come. Like I don't care. There's this link. Will you pull this link up? It says other dudes fucking your chick. This is an interesting one. I think I'm too old to understand this.
Is this the right link?
It's an
Instagram clip. With like the squat.
Oh no.
Wait, hold on. I don't.
Do I have it marked wrong? It's a dude in a gas station talking to the camera.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay. He's like out from a liquor store.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen up, people.
Hold on here.
Okay, here we go. Oh, nice. You're getting good at this.
Indeed. That's new.
Right when you said new computer. Okay, here we go.
Check this out. Don't never allow yourself to believe that you the only one knocking down your honey, man. Telling you, man. Listen, I'm dead serious. Don't set yourself up for the big letdown that you the only nigga that's hitting that. Don't do that. Even if you are, you never let your mind get lulled to sleep and get comfortable to thinking that she won't do that, because just like that could change. You understand? And if you done set your mind up to where you believe that you the only one hitting that, and then you find out you ain't, you're gonna be devastated. You're gonna be devastated. Some dudes kill everybody when they find out because they think that belonged to them. That's our kitty cat. She could get that to whoever she want. And you know what? She gonna give it to whoever she want. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. It ain't nothing you can do about it. Don't never believe you the only one. Peace.
Okay. So the premise of his argument, I think, and tell me if you hear this right, is that if you make the assumption that you're the only one getting grace, Mr. Souza, that when you find out she has been sleeping with someone else, you'll be devastated. I'm going to say that even if you make the assumption, either way, you're going to be devastated. I don't think I'm like, yeah, no one else is fucking Hayley. And then I find out she's fucking someone and I'm devastated. I think it goes the other way too. I assume she's fucking everyone and I find out it's true and I'm still devastated. I'm not buying his premise. Like you think you can get some psychological hedge of like protecting yourself by just assuming that your girl.
You know what I'd find interesting about that clip?
It's just that wondering how many times I watched it before I decided it deserves to be on the show.
No, that's kind of funny though too. But I'm just thinking about like, how did he get that thought at a gas station and just was like, you know what, I'm gonna set my camera up here and film this right now.
Yeah,
like, that's what's interesting to me. Like,
you're a big picture guy.
Yeah, like what was he doing prior to that? Like, what was the thoughts going on his head? And then, like, why did he choose? Like, did he just pull over and get some gas? And you know what? I got this thought. I'm about to let it go here. But I really like his enthusiasm and the way he delivered that.
Oh, his account is great. His account is great. His account. When are we going to get Greg Everett on the podcast? I like your name, Devin. You spell it wrong. You should drop the D and put an S in there. But other than that, it's a great question. It is a great question. I have never actually met Greg Everett. I don't even think I know. I don't even think I can pick him out of the group. And I hear his name all the time, and I hear it in the best light. I always hear that how amazing he is. Devesh Maharaj. Maybe he just found out he was getting cheated on. Maybe. Yeah, it's good. Maybe. Matt Burns, hood logic. A racist. I don't know what makes you think he's in the hood.
I like how it transitioned to get Emma Lawson on the podcast.
Yeah. You know what else is kind of crazy? I think this is a good thing. When we're having all these UFC fighters. Well, I watch a lot of podcasts now. I never had watched a podcast until like, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 months. And I've become obsessed with like researching our guests. So I've been watching lots of podcasts and I just realized, especially in the UFC, in the fighting world, how shitty podcasts are. Like there are these podcasts that have like millions of subscribers. And the guest will come on and the host will be like, oh my goodness, Souza, nice to see you. I appreciate you so much for having you on. You're such a sweet man. I love your newest book. It's fantastic, Souza. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. I love this book. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Oh, that actually did make me feel good though.
Just like, dude, really?
I'm gonna come back.
I mean, really? And that's like a common opening line for podcasters. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
You know, I don't know.
I think that people, if they come on your show and you're going to give them a handy, you should give them a fucking handy. Like you should say some like deeper shit, like real shit about them. Like Jim Hensel, this fucking guy, do you know what he's doing now? Since he's been on the show, I think he was getting bombed already. But a police officer there's a police officer who has a program. It's called Franklin Fit.
Mm-hmm.
Franklin County, Georgia. I don't know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this guy, he's a police officer and he has this program at the police station that kids can come. It's like an after school program, and they get kids to come to the police station to work out, and they work out with the cops, and they got like a regular crew there, and it's growing and it's getting bigger and bigger. They sent me a shirt. I think I wore it yesterday actually. It's starting to look nice on me.
Yeah.
And
Bobby Brown, right?
Yeah. That is his name, right? Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, and those guys are doing amazing work. I repost their stuff sometime. The group is growing and growing, and just seeing those cops working out with those kids is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all free, and he's doing it all on donations and all with his own time and blah blah blah. But that guy connected with Jim Hensel.
Oh, that's
Jim
awesome.
Hensel was on the show. That's the guy from the Mayhem Mindset.
Man, it'd be so important to get Jim in front of those kids like that.
Yeah, but Jim should just be working like with rich athletes. like Michael Chandler. He doesn't have time for helping people.
Yeah, but once he gets a little bit of money, maybe he'll give back. He seems like a really good dude.
Well, that's the point. He's already giving back. And
Yep.
that's the kind of thing when you have a guest on, you should be talking about. You should just like immediately be like, holy shit, I cannot believe what you're doing. Like you should be out getting your own. And instead you're over here fucking around with these cops and these kids and helping them with their mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me about yourself.
Give me the 2-minute version.
It's so lazy. It's so lazy.
I mean, sometimes I think too, because like podcasting and everything, like in relative to media, is pretty young, right? So sometimes
say that again.
I said like podcasting in terms of like just media in general and all the different forms of media is pretty young. So like
I'm talking about people who have like millions.
No, I know that's what
I want to say the guy's name, but I like
that's what I was getting at. So what if you were just the first person that cruised over to Malibu and was like, oh shit, I'm gonna buy some land here. This is cool. I like this coast. And then you did it. And then you saw maybe a couple other people were coming and you're like, I'm gonna buy a little bit more. Then you buy a little bit more. Now all of a sudden you're the richest land owner on beachfront property in Malibu. But was it because you were the smartest, best one at negotiating and understanding where things were going to go, or were you just the first one there?
It's a good question. Well, I mean, I'm fucking late to the game, so that would explain my situation.
Now you're trying to buy enough when the price is high.
Sevan, have you ever blocked anyone? I clicked this guy's name because I just wanted to say his name. Mansuruddin Ahmed. I don't think you can just be the first one and shit be good. I mean, I think people like this kind of this Oprah like just this real superficial covering of situations. Where did you buy your shirt, Matt? How do you pick out your clothes before you go to an event? What's your favorite food? What are the 3 things that made you most successful? Yeah, like some of these guys, it's like they just have this list of questions. So Matt, tell me, what are the 3 things that you think most influenced your decision to open a CrossFit gym? And I don't want people talking to me like that, and I don't want to talk to people like that unless there's exceptions, of course, everywhere. Yeah. Like if you're going off about the importance of decision making, and I said, can you give me an example? Like, what are some of the top decisions you need to look at before you open a gym? Then you go there,
right?
But like you just come on the show and it's like, what are your 3 favorite colors? Like, go fuck yourself.
Well, I think the Oprah-esque is easy, right? Like if you're giving out Corvettes to everybody in the audience, you're going to get a pretty big audience that shows up. But if
I don't know. I can't let her off the hook like that. She's got some appeal to some. She's got some appeal to someone. I mean, she's good at what she does.
The point being is like it's easy to keep it like fluffy, happy, and superficial. Yes. But if you have a podcast like yours, that's going to really challenge some deep beliefs and ideas and ask yourself to go internally and really question yourself. Now you're selling something that's a little bit tougher because it's thought provoking and a lot of people are afraid to go there. I mean, didn't you say like, I forget where I heard this, but I thought maybe it was you. It said like most people don't want to sit in the room alone with themselves because they're just afraid of the questions that they know will come up and they'll have to spend time answering them.
You mean to themselves?
To themselves.
Yeah. I mean, people, it's fascinating to me that some people wouldn't want to spend a shitload of time alone.
Yeah.
Fascinating to me.
I mean, me too, but I think we like to like question and like analyze and like really go into stuff. And I think for some people that maybe haven't done that, and you're listening to Bet David's book, and he even says in there, you could spend a lifetime with sports and entertainment and mundane and going out with your friends and everything and never actually question your own beliefs or why you believe what you believe or if it's true or what you really want out of life. And you could just spend the whole entire time in entertainment land. And especially now, I mean, you could lose yourself in a freaking 2 or 3 hours just scrolling on Instagram, and then you could watch your favorite show, and then you could think about the weekend with your buddies and then the big game that's coming up, and you talk about that with everybody else around you, and time will fly by.
Yeah, some of those questions, it's funny that you say that. You kind of called me on my own shit. Some of those questions that he asks in there, they're not even that deep, and I'm scared of them.
Yeah, because you'll go there with him.
No, well, I'm scared of him a little bit too, but I'm scared of some of those questions. Like, what do you want? Like I don't really want to answer that.
Yeah. I mean,
he's gonna eat me alive, Sousa.
We could start. We could say, what do you, and this is the question that I pose a lot of time to like,
I'm not
my
letting him take
coaches.
over my podcast like he
No,
did the
no,
Rogan
but-
podcast. I'm not letting him. I'm gonna just keep asking him what it was like. What's it like being 6'5", 240 pounds?
Yeah,
right. I'm not letting him fucking like.
In 2 minutes, tell me about your background.
Yeah.
But if the same thing that I posed to all my staff or like anybody else is like the coaches and the people I work with, or even some of the people that, you know, our team here at the podcast, like, hey, if you had a magic wand and you could wave the magic wand, no circumstances affected what you want, describe to me your perfect day and then tell me what you want that to be in 10 years. And most people would
take my shirt off and go to the beach every day. Not ever wear a shirt again.
And so then the next question is, what's stopping you from doing that now?
Because I got to get there. Yeah, it's a good. You're right.
Most people, if you ask them, if you said, hey man, you just had here's your magic wand, go ahead and explain to me what your perfect day is, what's your perfect income level, what type of house do you want, like all this stuff, like they just sit there and they're just like, I have no idea. So then it's like, well, then what are you working towards right now?
Oh yeah.
Then it's kind of like survival.
In the most simplistic sense, I think people want and that's a good question. I make this assumption that in the most simplistic sense, everyone is basically searching for stability. And unfortunately, there's no, I think that's a healthy thing to want, but unfortunately there's no end to that. And we pushed ourselves, and you know, we had the psychiatrist on, I can't remember his name, but the guy from Stockholm, Sweden, who ran the psychiatric clinic in Stockholm. He says the more security you get, the less secure you are. And that's what's happening to society as a whole. People want so much security that they're willing to wear a mask, quarantine themselves, and take an artificial, untested injection in order to get more security. And now we've lost a ton of security because of it. And so it's because it's never ending. On one hand, you just want to say, I want my house paid off, and I want to be independently wealthy, so I don't have to worry about property tax, and I can buy food every day. And you think that's all you want until you're like, well, what if I want to have enough money to buy a backup house in Nevada in case there's a flood at this house. And then you just keep wanting more and more security. Then I want to store some food in my basement. It never ends, right?
Right.
I wonder if people, I'm curious, I'm going to ask Patrick Bet-David what kind of things that he does to mitigate that kind of fear. Like, does he have a house that runs off of solar and is off the grid somewhere that he could run to with his family? I mean, if I had his money, I'd have that.
Have you got to the part where he talks about having a secret bank account that nobody knows about?
Oh no. I'm close. I'm almost done with the book.
Maybe it's not in his book. I mean, he's a pretty influential person to me, and so I've listened to a lot of his stuff. But that's one thing he talks about. Not a lot now, but he'd always say, have a bank account that nobody knows about. Oh snap!
Oh, I haven't tried using the phone in a long time. Jody, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Sexy.
It's your cabinet gal from Connecticut.
Hello. How is my cabinet gal?
Good. I have a list of notes here, just like you.
Oh, good. Let's get to them. Welcome to the new segment on the show, Jody, the cabinet gal.
First of all, Matt, that beanie, I just feel like you're gonna leave the podcast with your can of spray paint, hop on your skateboard, and go.
Okay, check.
Anyway,
Matt is
check mark.
Matt is a thug. Okay, got it.
That sounds like a judgment there.
Hey,
no, you told me you were saying that you used to do spray paint art
allegedly.
in the area.
Allegedly.
Oh, allegedly. That's right. Okay. All right. Just a couple things that have impacted me that you said.
Okay.
Bozeman's take on friendship, which I've taken to heart.
Yes.
Very.
Will you remind us what that is?
That is, don't take things so seriously if somebody can't make a date.
Yes. Be a low maintenance
Just
friend.
let it go.
Be a low maintenance.
Yeah, low
friend.
maintenance friends. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says, "Hey, I can't make the date," and you're already sitting there. Be like, "Okay, cool." Instead of your first response wants to be like, "You fucking asshole! I didn't do my waxing appointment and came to meet you for coffee." Instead, you should write, "Okay, let me know if you need any help with anything. Love you. Bye."
Right. I've completely changed my attitude on that. I appreciate that.
And then maybe find a guy and then maybe fuck their husband or wife to pay them back.
Well, I don't know about that.
All right.
The other one was painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Ah.
And don't take it so seriously if you don't get a text back right away.
What's the Sistine Chapel
From
one
your
again? I forget.
significant other.
What's that one?
No, you were just like, relationships are high maintenance. It's like, I'm trying to paint the Sistine Chapel, woman. Would you just stop bothering me?
Yes. Yeah, if you want great people, yeah. Well, if you want to date Pablo Picasso, don't interrupt him when he's painting the Sistine Chapel. 100%.
That's right. Hey, I'm sitting here painting the Sistine Chapel. Yeah. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Jeffrey, you still got me.
If you want Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, don't interrupt them when they're at the barbecue frying up the bodies. like, yeah. Do you have someone great in your life who needs that space?
I have a couple people, yeah, and I've completely changed my take on when I don't get text or somebody can't show up.
Please, I would like if you would Venmo me cash for those changes I've given you. Thank you.
All right, check mark 2 and 3.
Okay, all good stuff.
And then, just like you, I identify as the affiliate owner at my box.
Like you're the CEO, Jody, the CEO of CrossFit.
I'm the yes. Well, not Connecticut, but
whatever.
My box.
Yeah.
My box. I identify as the affiliate.
Yeah.
Owner, as the affiliate owner, but.
And you're also the CEO of your own box.
Well, I am of my own box, my own personal box. Yeah.
Yeah, your own personal box. Yes.
No matter what is going on in the CrossFit world, I still have control over my own CrossFit life.
Yes.
That's
and
right.
Every woman should have control over her own box and be the CEO of her own box.
That's right. Step away from the box.
Yes. Yes. Excuse me, sir. Can you take your hands off the box, please? Thank you. Take a number and we'll call you when we're ready.
Oh my God. I've been out at a job for an hour, so I missed the first hour. So I can't wait to listen to the first hour.
Does the place that you sell cabinets at, are they good cabinets?
Yes. Yeah.
I have the worst cabinets in the fucking world at my house. They're from Home Depot. It's like this whole fancy, beautiful kitchen, and they are the worst. Not a single cabinet opens or closes properly from the day that it was brand new. They didn't follow up on anything. Who knows? I bought a flip.
That's why I'm not with the big box. I'm with the little tiny shop where I cannot hide. If they have a problem, I'm taking care of it.
Yeah, my kitchen is so depressing. It feels like the kitchen that you had like when you were in college. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm like rich.
Wait, the one in the house that you live in right now?
Yes.
Well, then you got to correct that.
No, you can't. It'd be
$100,000
to get it done right. It'd be like to get a custom cabinet guy. I had custom cabinets in my last house, and my kitchen was tiny, and it was so nice.
Dude,
yes.
You're the CEO. You're the CEO, and you don't pay your employees, so I think you can afford it.
That's true.
Am I right, Matt?
That's fair.
Oh my gosh!
I'm gonna have to go to my secret bank account where my secret money is.
Okay, wait. I have a question for you.
Okay, hurry up because we're about to go into abortion.
Okay. Is Khalifa an affiliate owner?
No, I don't think he is anymore. I think he did.
I can't figure it out. Yeah.
NC Fit. He was an affiliate owner for a long time, and now he has his own a pretty successful empire. I think NC Fit. Yeah.
And he
has corporate stuff. Sorry, say that again, Jody.
Yeah. He's just a generous, great person. Yes. And I just always love when he comes on your show because he just is so natural and he just gives you his time.
Yeah.
When he's done painting the Sistine Chapel, he comes over to the podcast.
Yeah. He the whole energy on the show changes when he's on for the better.
Oh yeah.
He's a good dude.
You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree so much, Jody. You could have just been like, okay.
That was on my list in my head, but it didn't get onto the paper. So I'm glad I brought that up. Okay. He's good. So anyway, well, listen, I've taken enough of your time.
You have.
Thank you for calling.
All right. You guys enjoy your day there on the West Coast. Okay.
Peace and love.
You too. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Sousa, to your point about Ukraine, small problem is that the U.S. and the U.K. promised to protect Ukraine after they signed to give up its new. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, that's a
J
great
J
point.
J J
The old bait and switch.
Good morning. How can I help you? You've called the Sevan podcast. You're caller number 2.
Unlike the last caller, my full intentions are to simply take as much of your time as possible.
Oh, thank you. How can I help you, Mr. Logan?
How you doing, man?
I'm just living the dream. I'm just getting ready to talk about abortion.
Oh, man. Good thing I called in.
Yep.
So we can
Save the
derail that.
listeners. Save the
Do that?
listeners. Say it again.
Nothing. I am simply just calling to divert. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. It sounds like there's an abortion going on where you're at.
Horrible. Sorry, I had to hop from one to the other. I've been following this Ukraine thing quite closely.
Okay. Tell me what the hell's going on over there?
Not closely enough to have an opinion on the live call.
Oh, okay. I mean, basically what we have is the way I'm hearing, I don't even want to get into it. I'm not ready to get into it, but there is a box owner in Odessa, Ukraine that I'm WhatsApping with who used to work at the box in Kiev or Kiev. I'm gonna say Kiev. I like Kiev better. In Kiev. And I would like to get him on the air and hear his take. But it is a little unsettling that Ukraine has been sending weapons to Armenia for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, and then you look at it from the perspective of the U.S. has been doing all sorts of things that, you know, if everybody in certain countries had, you know, smartphones and a cell signal, we'd be seeing this stuff all the time that we're seeing right now.
Good point.
But it's pretty. I don't know. It's pretty sad. Like that video of that fighter jet that just bombs this. I don't know. I'm assuming it was a house next to the house the lady was recording in. And there's kids screaming in the background. I don't know. But I feel like we're all so primed to not believe what we see on TV.
Well, not
just because of the last couple years.
Well, some of us, there's still, I think the vast majority are still completely brainwashed. In Biden's speech, he said something the other day. He said, fund the police. And I was like tripping. I was like, wow, the cornerstone of the whole Democratic Party for the last 2 years, one of the cornerstones has been to defund the police. And I believe that that's one of the things that's caused the most damage to our society as a whole. Instead of trying to figure out how to work with the police, society was told by the media to attack the police. And what we had is we had all the police take one step back, and crime just went through the roof. And who suffered the most from that? The poor communities, right? The communities that need the police the most. And so murder rates are at an all-time high. Theft is at an all-time high. Drug use is an all-time high. Everything is just so bad right now. And why is that? Because the Democrats got on that George Floyd bandwagon and did defund the police. Well, now, out of the blue, this guy says fund the police. So I was talking to one of my favorite Democrats, and I'm like, dude, are you tripping? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, this is like one of the foundational elements of the Democrats is to defund the police. And they said, no, it's not. You can't lump all of us up into one box. And I'm like, holy shit. And I see Joe Rogan do this too a little bit, where someone's not behaving like a Democrat, but he's still calling them a Democrat because that's what they call themselves. That's not how it works. You can't be, I'm telling you the rules. You can't be a Nazi who was like, I really like the Nazi party, except for that one part where they killed the Jews. It doesn't work like that. You can't be a Democrat and be like, oh, I'm a Democrat, except for that one part where it's defund the police. Then you're not a Democrat. That's like foundational shit of who they are. They hate the fucking police. They're racist, and they profess anti-racism, which just pops up racism, and they demand that people are offended. That is the premise of the organization. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, so my point is that you were saying this you think that most people know. I disagree with you, Lars. I think most people don't know. I think people like me and you who sit around and fucking drag hogs around all day mindlessly and have time to look at other forms of media. We have our eyes open. But the educated class?
Educated.
Yeah, the educated class, they are
Sevan, tell me
fucking
about your hogs.
morons.
Tell me about your hogs, Sevan. I'd like to know more about the hogs you're dragging around all day.
Fucking dangles between my leg, 2 pounds, 12 inches long. Looks like
sounds
two,
like a tumor, and I
looks
think
like
you
two
better get
Coke
that
cans
looked
on
at.
top of each other. That's my fucking hog. How dare you ask me about my hog on while we're live?
I would say the politicians don't have anything that is actually being revealed. They just kind of switch to whatever the popular narrative is that people want to hear. And then once they get into office, they do business as usual. And I bet if you were to look at all the issues that were ever discussed between Republican, Democrat, or this little ping pong game we play so we could all argue with each other rather than really look at the issues and understand ain't shit changed. It's only gotten worse. So I don't really buy into the whole Republican, Democrat, what they said then, what they say now. I just think it's all pandering until they're in office.
Yeah, someone the other day just lit me up on social media. They're like, I was just ripping on the Democrats, and they just fucking tore into the Republicans and tell me what a dipshit I am, thinking that the Republicans are different. And I just responded, "Yep, I agree with everything you just said." Like, yeah, it's like,
yeah, it's all,
like,
I think it's
come
all
on,
the
man,
same,
like.
man.
Come on, I like just because I'm ripping the Democrats, don't think that I'm giving the Republicans a pass. But we do need some course correction. The educated class, I'm using their terms, have completely ruined this country. I mean, they are. Oh, I can't call them that word.
What do you mean by educated class?
Like if you all my peers that I went to college with, I sent the exact Pfizer study from the Pfizer website to a friend of mine who has 4 kids, who's a math instructor. And I said, holy shit, dude, you should see these numbers and run these numbers. And they said, what are you, anti-vax like Jenny McCarthy? I'm like, dude, like you're a math teacher. I just wrote back, hey, dude, and I just ignored what he said, just the ad hominem attack. And I just said, hey, dude, you should look into the difference between relative and absolute numbers. And you should also consider teaching your students that you don't have to use vaccine numbers for it. You could use stat numbers or any other scientific study. But that's like a really important thing to understand.
What they say?
I mean, we had Zoe Hart. They just kept up with the anti-vax shit. It's like, wow, you're a math teacher. And you don't want to do the math. It should be so exciting for you, the numbers.
I didn't even have anything. I just automatically hit this because I just felt like boosting my ego. That's all.
Okay. Well, thank you. Love you. Bye.
Hey, Chris Wayne in chat?
No.
Tell Wad Zombie to call.
Okay,
Wad Zombie, if you don't call, you're a bitch.
Okay, bye. Wad Zombie, no call, you a bitch. So the definition of abortion is induced termination of a pregnancy with destruction of the embryo or fetus. I think a fetus is like a human being that's still like developing. I'd have to look that up. But and then any various procedures that result in the termination of a pregnancy. So if a woman is pregnant and you end the pregnancy, that's an abortion. A cessation of normal growth, especially of an organ or other body part prior to full development or maturation. Well, so go back to the first definition: induced termination of a pregnancy with destruction of embryo or fetus. So it's if you destroy a fetus. Is that? I wonder if that's and I guess. I wonder what the word kill means. Can you say it kills the fetus or just
Didn't they say terminates? I mean,
yeah, I just don't know how do you talk about it without being biased at all? Abortion is legal and now I'm on the wiki page. Abortion is legal throughout the United States and its territories, although restrictions and accessibility vary from state to state. So, since 1976, the Republican Party has generally sought to restrict abortion access or criminalize abortion. So, according to this, Republicans want to make it reduce access to the termination of the embryo or fetus in a human being. So you have to somehow, okay. Let me see this. In 2018, 77.7 abortions were performed at 9 weeks or less. Can you pull up what a baby looks like at 9 weeks? I know that's just using my eyes too. And 92.2% of abortions were performed at 13 weeks. Oh, wait. That's impossible. How can that be? If 77% were performed at 9 weeks, how would 92% be performed at 13 weeks or at 13 weeks or less? Okay, that makes sense. Can you see what a 9-week fetus looks like?
Well, that's the description of it there.
The head is more erect and the neck is more developed. Your baby skeleton is forming, but the bones are still soft. Little eyelids form but stay closed, and nose appears during an ultrasound. Okay. Wow. All right. It's a fascinating one, man. It is a fascinating topic.
There's pictures.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's like it's starting to be a person. It's got a fucked up head.
Alien head.
Yeah, totally. And how do they do that? I wonder how they get the baby out of there. They vacuum it out, or they cut the woman open, or
I have no idea. It's a complicated issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's so tough.
You know what's interesting?
It's so tough. I'm still on the fence that you can't make it. I'm still on the side you can't make it illegal. But I really think that the words should be like spoken out. I don't think that we should use signifiers and concepts to reduce the impact of the verbiage that it's the destruction of an embryo or fetus. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. And the reason why is, well,
it's multifaceted. Like a lot of times you hear like women saying like my body, my choice. So then they're making it about like personal medical choice.
Yeah.
Which apparently doesn't exist anymore in this country or other places.
They induce labor. Okay. Oh,
but,
okay. That makes sense. So you have the baby, the woman still has the baby, but it's just, it's like stillborn, I guess.
And then there's this issue of like, I mean, there's so many different ways you go with it. Cause then what happens if the woman doesn't plan to get the abortion, but there's complications, and the only way that woman can survive is by aborting the baby. And then you have the whole entire thing of like, what if it was done by
all that stuff I can just shove to the side.
Okay, so then what?
Like if the woman's gonna die, or if you're raped, or if you're
okay, so you're
like
saying
all that stuff is like
is conflating the issue.
No, I don't know if I would say that. Maybe I just feel like I can push that one to like. Here we go.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. I think that those numbers are probably so small. It's like when I say there's only two sexes, male and female, and someone's like, "Oh no, there's both." Okay, fine. There's both too. Like it's the spirit of what I'm saying is correct. Those kind of details, I don't think just make it too hard to think about. Okay, go ahead. Caller, hi.
Okay, so you guys were talking about abortion, and you said it was a complicated issue.
Yes.
And I want. Could you explain that a little bit more to me? Because for me, it's cut and dry, but I want to know why you think it's complicated.
Well, Sevan, do you want to take it? Sorry.
No, you go ahead, Matt. My answer won't go away. Well, let's see. Can we hear why you think it's cut and dry first, or do you want us to go first? Either way is fine.
Yeah.
You sound pumped, so I don't want to like derail you if you're pumped and you want to go.
Stay fired up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am super fired up, but but also I want to be clear. So a lot of times when I hear this, and I don't, again, kind of why I want to ask the question, because I want to know if maybe I'm, misrepresenting your opinion. But a lot of times what I hear for why it's complicated is people are like, okay, well, here's the thing. You got these poor women and they've had all these kids and they can't afford another child. So they got to get rid of it.
Not my issue. Don't give a
Okay.
fuck about that.
Okay, cool.
But
The
maybe
other
Matt
thing-
does. Do you care about that, Matt?
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't really necessarily have a strong opinion on this, like, either way. I just think that there's multiple rivers that run into this one question.
I
Like,
want to have a strong opinion,
could
though.
be
I
one
want to
of
be
them.
able to. I want to be able to think clearly about it. I really want to be able to
Right.
think clearly about
me
it.
too, but
Right.
tough.
Well, like, my opinion is that, well, first off, it's very misrepresented. They always say it's a woman's right to choose, but really it's like more like a frat boy's right to choose. Because the reality is that women want to have children, and not all, and not all the time, but they do, and they would carry that child. I mean, I've seen a lot of women that have had an unexpected pregnancy and have said prior to that they didn't want to have kids and blah blah blah, and they went through with the pregnancy, and it's like the greatest joy in their life.
Yeah, I have two of
you
those.
have
I have
kids.
two of those.
Right. So, so it is a beautiful, amazing thing. But a lot of times women get pressured to have an abortion by a man. So I don't think it's a women's rights thing. In fact, it's more of a misogyny thing. It's really what it is it's irresponsible men who don't want to pull out. They don't want to do a blowjob. They don't want to do anal. There's all sorts of different sexual options, and they choose to not wear a condom. And there's a million ways to prevent getting somebody pregnant, but they choose not to do any of them. And then after they get somebody pregnant, they're like, let's kill the baby. It's like insane to me.
I want to say one thing. The blowjob thing is completely absurd. Everyone wants a blowjob, but I appreciate you bringing it up. But the anal, like, I'm not doing anal. I'm not giving it to no one.
Fine.
I'm not taking it. I don't do anal. I don't fuck with your ass at all. No one's ass.
That's fine.
So I fall into that selfish category, but I'm falling into the weeds here. I know the spirit of what you're saying is accurate, and I agree with you.
Right.
How about just jerk off too?
Yeah, that too. And so there's a lot of sexual options that don't involve impregnating somebody and then murdering a baby. And so it's like, to me, it's very cut and dry. It's like, look, we there's something called self-control. We all believe in it. We all believe that there's consequences for your actions.
What about the precedent it sets, Joseph? What about the precedent it sets that you don't let someone decide what happens in their body?
Yeah, I kind of see where you're going with that.
That part really concerns me. That part really, really, really concerns me.
Yeah.
And my friend fought back with, hey, dude, they had control over their body before they sat on the cock. Like, a woman has a right over her body, and then when she sits on the cock, she loses a little bit of that right. And I'm like, God, I hear you. But
yeah.
What about this other argument that, like, we have no business, we shouldn't have any say if you have a penis, that only the vagina should get to decide on this issue? How about that one?
I don't fully agree with that. But back to your other question though, about the precedent, control over your own body.
Yeah.
Your friend makes a very good point. It's like, look, now we're entering into a contract the moment, somebody sticks their penis inside you. So it's like, now it's two people. We're conspiring together here. Okay.
Yeah.
So immediately that disrupts that. And that is just a fact. That is just the reality. You're making love with another human. It's no longer just your decision. But beyond that, there isn't a notion of
why though? Why? There's lots of things that aren't because it's not fair. It still is her body. And that's the thing. The reason why I care about that, it's not for like, it's only for legal reasons do I care about that. I don't like opening the slippery slope at all that anyone has any right over anyone else's body.
But that's a facade, man. I mean, come on, we have a draft. It's a total facade. We have a draft. Like, let's say we create World War III here in Ukraine.
Joseph, two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs don't make a right. My mom taught me that when I was little. Just because we're drafty men doesn't mean that we should be able to.
Okay, so, but here's the thing then. Does like for example, then that should be applied to abortion. I mean, just one poor decision doesn't justify an even more poor decision, which would be killing a baby. So it's like, I get what you're saying about personal liberty, but it's the destruction of a fetus. Right. I mean, I guess you could use that term too if you want, whatever. But I mean,
just trying to get my head
humanize the baby.
Well, no, like Under no circumstances should a baby ever be destroyed, or a fetus should never be destroyed.
Right.
I wholeheartedly agree. There's under no circumstances, rape,
circumstance?
nothing. I cannot in a vacuum see any reason ever to destruct a fetus.
Right.
And I also think, and here's where the problem is. I also think under no circumstance should you be telling people what to do with their body. Like under
Yeah.
none.
See, I mean,
under
I
none.
get where,
Not tell them, force them, and like.
Yeah, I mean, look, I see with like the current situation with people trying to force people to take the vaccine or something. I don't agree with that, and legally speaking, they're wrong to try and force people to do that. However,
I can't believe you brought the vaccine up. How dare you bring the vaccine up on my show?
Sorry. So, however, the thing is, though, is that, you know what? People don't know what's best for them a lot of the time. That is a true thing. That people make really stupid, poor decisions, and people think, well, you know, we live in a free country and people should be allowed to do that. And I don't agree with that on everything. I'm not a libertarian at all. I don't buy into that.
Say you don't buy into what? Sorry, I was checking out that chick's dress, Stacey Ward. Say that again. Sorry.
You're fine. I don't buy into the notion that people should have complete control over their own bodies. I don't think that that's right. A lot of people. That's why we have the situation we do with obesity in our nations. Because like there's people are not strongly influencing others to control their appetites and eat healthy food. And the reality is that it's killing people. So at some point people have to make a decision. Am I going to be a libertarian and believe that everybody should be free to make their own decisions because I do it and I'm a disciplined person? Or
yes,
even though the reality is most people are not, the vast majority of people are not, and they need to be told what to do. With their body. They need
a slippery slope, my friend.
Direction.
That's a slippery slope, because then who do you put in charge to do that? And then once power is consumed, how do you control that power?
I 100% agree with that. I think that, you know, at the end of the day, we have to first start by strongly encouraging people to be moral, and we need to create some sort of moral code in our country and stop telling people that they're just an animal.
Who creates the moral? Who creates the moral code? Who creates the moral code?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we'd have to come together with some sort of consensus, and that would be tough to do.
But who's we? Who's we?
It would have to be within the government. Is what I would imagine.
The government is just
or like a marriage between like a religious organization and the government. It would have to be something along those lines.
Well, then who gets to decide which religion you belong to?
But like I said, I don't know if it would be necessarily religion. But
then who gets to decide the government? Who gets to decide the government to begin with?
Well, I mean, we're currently allegedly deciding what the government does, allegedly. So, I mean, like I said, we would have to. Of course, it's a slippery slope, but we have to figure out something. Otherwise, our country is going to continue to go down this downward trajectory of like immorality and not believing in self-control and not believing in like very basic
who gets
things
to decide the morale? Who gets to decide the morals? Who gets to decide the morals?
I don't know. I mean, it would have to be the country people would have to, it would probably have to develop organically. People in their own, it would.
So wouldn't that just be a collective group of people making individual decisions that they decided for themselves and then agreeing with the decisions that they came upon after they've already decided within themselves?
Yeah. It could develop that way.
So then isn't that libertarianism, because you gave them the freedom to decide as an individual and then they just found other individuals that they happen to agree upon?
Yeah. The thing is, yeah, you could, I mean, that sounds really ideal. Like that's one way that it could happen.
What's another way?
The reality is that, well, the other way would be is the way that humanity has done this type of thing throughout all of history, which is where there's typically one person in control and they just tell everybody what to do and people fall in line. And most of the time it doesn't work very well, but sometimes it does.
When's the time that it's worked really well?
I think that it worked really well there are certain rulers like King David, with the Hebrews. I think it worked really well with him.
All right. No King David talk. But caller, thank you.
But
Joseph.
What's up?
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. I have to hang up on you.
Yeah.
But thank you.
All right,
that was really good.
Yep, we'll see about
Thank you for your call. Good thoughts.
Yep.
It's funny because once you start going down the rabbit hole of asking the questions of like who decides, who's the government, who puts them in charge, who does all that, like very quickly that argument unravels. And then morals change over time. And morals change depending on where you are. Like I think in some Middle Eastern countries, it's legal to marry a woman at 8 years old. So
seems a little early to get committed to me.
Yeah, for sure. But like, so those are their morals decided by whatever the collective group of the people there. So then who are we to say that moral is wrong versus the other one is right?
Lonesome Lenny, religion sucks the life out of everyone. You know, I kind of used to have that feeling and I don't anymore. I used to have that thought process and I see so much value for religion now. It basically, like, it's a great place for the sleeping masses to huddle. It's to incubate. It's a great place for people to incubate. But I'm open to being wrong about that. But
yeah,
but that's sort of how I see it now. Yeah, and I give Greg credit for like kind of opening my eyes to that. If someone is doing something for the benefit of mankind, but it's wrong how they're doing it or their approach or their reason, but it's benefiting mankind, I kind of like, I need to be less self-righteous and be like, okay, go.
Before you answer this call, I gotta jam.
Oh, okay.
Gotta make it to.
Thanks, Matt. What are you doing right now? You going to work?
Yeah, I gotta go to the fire department, but there's not a lot of traffic this time, so that should be good.
Right. Well, I'm gonna talk with Derek Mendez. It was nice having you on the show today, Matthew Souza.
Thank you. I feel bad leaving. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Matt.
Bye.
That's Derek. Bye, Derek.
Bye, Derek.
Matt. What's up, Derek? How are you, buddy?
Hey, I actually named Jason, so I don't know. Must.
Oh, hi, Jason.
Kind of weird. Hey, no. I heard you guys talking about abortion. I want to just call in real quick.
Sure.
Because I think there's something that everybody misses when they're talking about the issue at large.
Yes.
And I kind of discovered this with one of my friends who, I'd say, he definitely leans pretty far left, and I like to think of myself as more in the middle, but I probably would say I lean right. And we were having a good conversation about it, and he pointed out to me that in general, where people should start with this issue is that less is better. Like neither side saying, "Hey, we need more abortion." And so, starting from that point where we both acknowledge that, hey, less abortions is good. How do we get there? And so, that's...
Dude, there was some lady who wrote in the comments, Derek or Jason, there was some lady who wrote in the comments, like, those women didn't even want those babies to start with, which kind of makes me think, I'm not sold on it, but that maybe that premise isn't right, that we all want less. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But okay, let's just go down that path anyway. So we want less abortion, and the ways to do that are to do less abortions and to practice more safe sex. Is that where you're going? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I mean, I think those would be a couple ways for sure. But I guess when we're looking at solutions, more what I'm saying rather than offering a solution, but when we're looking and examining solutions to this problem at large, just starting from a point where we're, a point that both sides can agree on, no matter which way you lean, is important, because otherwise, I mean, it's just gonna, you turn it into this combative, I mean, it just escalates unnecessarily.
Where can we start to agree on? Can we agree that no one really wants there to be abortions? It's funny you say that, is there are those wackadoodle videos you see on Instagram where there's like 10 ladies and they're all holding a pill and they're like, we're all pregnant and we're going to abort our baby. And they all swallow the pill. Like, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's like, holy shit, this is like some dark shit.
Yeah. Well, and I think that develops because people get so lost in their, in their concept of what it is. It becomes this, this line they draw in the sand, and they're going to defend it at all costs rather than cross the bridge and talk to the other side and figure out, a real solution. But basically, and I'm a Christian, so, I don't really mind saying this. What Christians and what people who lean far right, we tend to think that abortion is right, like killing the baby.
Right. Destruction of the fetus.
But the problem is that, the problem with that, though, is that when you say something like that to a woman who has had it or contemplating having it,
you're essentially accusing them of murder, which, just trying to wrap your mind around that. Like if I'm a young woman who, has had an abortion or is contemplating one, I'd have to change my entire frame of reference to think of it that way. And if I went down that way, it would just make me depressed and feel awful, and there'll be a guilt that lives with me the rest of my life. So that's why I think
I'm concerned about that for women too, to tell you the truth. I'm concerned with the fact of like women think they're going to get an abortion, they get the abortion, and then they have to live with something the rest of their life that really, really fucking sucks. Like I'm thinking for them, like the day after, like I have a friend who got an abortion. She thought the baby was gone, and then she ended up having the baby. And I know like it's the greatest thing ever. Like her and her kid are like, she's like the best mom ever. This kid's like the best kid ever. It's like, holy shit. And it was a failure, but they told her the baby's gone. She went and got the abortion. Baby's gone. And she had the baby. And it's like, man, like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
When
amazing.
You get
and I love this kid and I love this woman, and it's like I support her either way, but that's a hell of a story, man.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Grow up into this, it's nuts.
And that's like the best outcome of all this, right? Is a story like that. But the reason you get people who, they get their pitchforks and torches on both sides, especially on the side though where you maybe see an Instagram video of 10 women taking the pills at once and kind of cheering on. They almost have to go that way. Otherwise, they can get caught up questioning the action. And that's why you have that result.
It has to be questioned. It has to be questioned. It's destruction of the fetus.
I agree. Yeah.
It's not light.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
If we can't question it, what makes us human? What makes us better than dogs?
Right. And that's where I think it's so important to agree on, like, okay, what can we agree on? And which, less is more. And then I think the other thing too, that people don't consider is, as a Christian, the concept of, or just the question, when does life start? It's such a simple question, but if we could agree on that, or at least understand where the other person is coming from, then that would help a lot in the conversation, because you can't point at me and say, hey, I don't care about women. No, that's not the issue. It's just I care about what I consider the life in woman.
What would you define as life? What would you define as life?
Well, right, and that's the question. I mean,
if you were to say the baby can't be aborted, it can't be destroyed once it's alive, I wonder what that definition of alive is. Because part of me thinks that maybe we've always been alive, and that we can't be destroyed.
Well, and that's how Christians tend to approach life in general, is that God knew us before we were even born.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of Christians, we're taking such a strong stance against abortion. But on the other side, right, it's like with my friend, right, who I was talking about, who leans left. We also want to care about the women. And so we don't want to accuse them of being murderers. But we also need to agree on a starting point, which is, hey, less is more. And then I think the other piece to that is understanding where the other person believes life begins. And we can cut through a ton of, the weeds just by examining those 2 points is what I found, because I have a ton of liberal friends, and conversations tend to be more productive when we answer those two different things.
Jason, thank you.
So yeah, absolutely.
Peace and love,
thank you, Sevan.
Okay, bye.
All right, peace. All right.
Blanco.
Sevan.
Blanco.
Hello.
Blanco.
All right. I'm not listening to the show on my phone, but now we're on the phone, so it's all good. All right. So I'm listening to this guy. Yeah, I'm listening to this guy break down his Christian perspective and the Western perspective of abortion and all those things. And I think to myself, the key piece of this is murder and killing, right? That's kind of the basis of where we go. And then you can kind of branch off onto the destruction of the fetus, which is kind of dehumanizing it in a sense. And I think all the points are valid, but I think one key thing that
separates the two ideas is, the humanization of it. And one thing that I think that a lot of us do is we eat animals, right? And I eat animals for sure, but one thing that I can't seem to ration, and I'm just gonna put this out there as an open point for the viewers, is why do we kill and consume animals, but then also look at killing people as an issue? And I completely agree that killing people is wrong, and that killing animals needlessly is wrong. But to use them as food is good for us. And one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not murder. So I just like to put that out there for all of you.
Don't those people, the Christian people, don't they also, like, there's something in there that God gave us dominion over all the animals or all the planet or something, and so therefore we can just eat whatever we want? Isn't there like some sort of rationalization there? Maybe not even rationalization, direct order from their boss.
I think so, but it might be more. I thought it was more over the plants and the natural world. I guess it's all up to interpretation, and it was based on Hebrew and all that.
Now 5 people are going to call in and be like, "Yo, God said we could eat these motherfuckers. Dominion over animals."
Is that what comes out? Because it seems a little odd, but I'll just let that play out.
The human rule over animals does not mean we have the right to mistreat or misuse animals. Isn't it funny? You can look up on the internet what God meant.
Yeah, exactly. Right. People like to take that word.
This is so cool that God gave us the internet. The word dominion means rule or power over. God has sovereign power over his creation and has delegated the authority to mankind. I don't know. So can you sum up what you were saying in a nutshell, sir?
Yeah, sorry. I kind of went off.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Basically, why can we murder animals and not murder people with no moral issue there, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not arguing for murdering people. I'm arguing, I guess, against the murder of animals. But when I eat a big piece of steak, I feel fantastic.
Me too.
So
I don't like the fact that
there's some
animals
weird
have to
spot
be,
there.
Yeah. I've had that same thing. I mean, I used to have this girlfriend in college, and she had a bumper sticker on. She was vegan. She had a bumper sticker on her car that said, "Don't kill animals." And then she also had a pro-choice sticker on. Man, people would just drive by us and be screaming at us.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
But I was in college. I just wanted to. I didn't care about anything except the fact that she was a girl and that she had a vagina and boobs. I didn't care about her bumper stickers then. All right. Well, thank you for calling.
Yeah.
I've matured. Right. I've come so far. You're allowed to eat steak in Christianity. Well, thank you. That's a cool religion. I don't think most murders come without some moral price. Probably you're right. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. I think in summation that what the practice here today is, even if we don't come up with an answer, and I'm sure some of you did come up with answers or you have your answers, but the fact that something like this can be talked about and that it's important that it's talked about, and that through talking about it, we find not the answer maybe, but new ways of talking about it. Because a lot of times not only do we not know how to think, but we don't know how to look at things from different angles. So I feel like a lot of us just look at our hand like this all day, and it takes someone else to be like, "Hey, look at this side." And you're like, "Whoa." Oh, great show. Had fun. Thanks for tolerating my glasses today. These are my cool glasses. Let me tell you some of the shows that are coming up. Oh, I don't have my calendar. Do I have my calendar? We have a crazy schedule coming up. Oh my goodness. Did you guys see the Flowing Dutchman show? That was so cool. That guy was so cool. If you are a young man or a young woman, that is what you want. You want to find your passion and travel the world sharing it with people. Okay, tomorrow we have AJ Fletcher on, UFC fighter. He is, I want to say, 9-0 in the 171-pound class. He's been on the show before. We're having him on again tomorrow. Then on Sunday, we have Alex Caceres on, is another UFC fighter. He's on a 5-fight win streak. And then at 10 a.m., we have another UFC fighter on called Cody Durden. And the thing with Cody is, after Cody won his match, he beat a guy from China. He said, I sent this motherfucker packing back to China. And Daniel Cormier got scared and ran off with the mic. And a bunch of people attacked this guy for being racist. And I remember thinking, why is that racist to say, I sent this guy packing back to China? You should totally be able to say that. You should be able to say, I sent this guy packing back to Armenia. I sent this guy packing back to wherever the fuck he's from. He's pumped up. They were just in a fight. You can say whatever you want. But the fact that everyone's so scared of that or think that that's racist, you're out of your fucking mind. That's not racist at all. That's like when what was the president? Donald Trump said that that Mexico is sending us their worst people. That's not racist. That's not, or when he called Obama Muslim or said he's from Kenya. These aren't racist terms. That I was just watching John Oliver the other day, and he was accusing Trump of being racist by saying that he's from Kenya or saying that he's Muslim. These people don't know what racism means. Anyway, I'm excited to have the guy on the show. We can talk about it. What that is that's character assassination. That's horrible. That is retarded levels of communication when you do that to people. When you take what they've said and you run with it, make presuppositions, and then announce it to the world. It's bad. It's really unhealthy. Anyway, then on Monday we have another UFC fighter. It's like just UFC week. Chris Montaniu. He was the guy. He's been on the show before too. He fought Sean O'Malley, and he has another fight coming up. And I'm excited to see him fight. And then in the evening on Monday, we're coming back at 6:30 p.m. We have 2 shows on Monday, and it's the open recap of week number 2. What a bizarre turn of events. The way they read the rules, the CrossFit Games has lost its fucking mind. You go to the website, and there's one set of rules for the open this week, and then you watch the video that Adrian Bosman gave, and it's another set of rules. And I get it. Anyone with anyone could figure it out what they mean, but when you have 200,000 people who've registered for this thing, you need to be clear. CrossFit is complete. This open is a complete shit show, but hopefully we'll talk about that, what a mess it is, the whole jumping over the bar fiasco, and we'll have Angelo DeChico and Brian Friend on at 6:30 on Monday evening. Then on Tuesday, the 8th, I don't see anyone. And then on Wednesday, the 9th, we have Patrick Bet David, which I'm super excited about. And then on the 10th, we have David Rush. I think he set more than 200 Guinness Book World Records. I'm excited about that. And then on the Friday, the 11th, we have Greg Anderson. If you don't know who Greg Anderson is, you should follow him on Instagram. He is a police officer from Washington. And I do believe his story is we'll find out. It's a great story. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Peace.